So hi and welcome to Run Monks, the Zen mode for runners, a platform where we encapsulate, engage and collaborate with thought leaders, runfluencers and athletes from different walks of life and bring out engaging, thought-provoking and inspirational stories and best practices and tips which will enable you to be the better version of you. Today, we'll be talking to a very, very inspiring super athlete, an ultra marathoner, an individual who defies all odds and is a pioneer of higher altitude and endurance running in India. The only Indian to qualify and finish the Spartathon. Please join me in welcoming the super athlete, Kieren Dsouza. Hi, Kieren. Welcome to Run Monks.
Thank you so much for inviting me. As a guest on having me here to chat with you, and I'm pretty excited for it. So thank you for the kind introduction as well. I'm really looking forward to our chat.
I do about 450 kilometers per month, almost 72 hours per month, 20,000 meters per month, about 3,000 calories per day, 9 hours per day, 15%, 5,359, 8 to 10 shoes a year. The fastest I've done is at 119. 246 kilometers in about 33 hours and 1 minute. About 4 races every year, 4 races that I focus on, and about 4-5 races that I do as part of training.
We're really excited to have you with us and hosting you. It's such an honor and privilege to be hosting an athlete of your caliber, and really excited to kickstart our conversation. So always want to actually sort of start off by understanding what your life story really is. What were your early days all about? And you were actually born in a family of defense forces. So was that primarily your inspiration of being fit and taking off running?
Not really. I think what I got from traveling around with my dad in the Air Force and moving houses every few days was the love of the outdoors. Luckily, I was fortunate enough that a lot of the places where my dad was posted to they were never big cities or towns as such. They were always small settlements around Air Force camps.
Yep.
So I got to live in a lot of beautiful places, a lot of I was in touch with the outdoors from a pretty much a young age, right? Like playing on sand dunes or running around, in the fields and stuff like that. And so I've grown up that way. So I think the defense as growing up with my dad in the Air Force allowed me to, enjoy and have the clarity that I was wanting to do something in the outdoors. I remember as far as when I was probably in class 8 or something like that, I wanted to do something that kept me in the outdoors, whether it was wildlife conservation, which was my first interest, or eventually getting into these things that I'm doing now.
Fantastic. So Bangalore is where it all began, is what my understanding is of the kind of reading which is available online. Want to sort of hear that from you as well. So was Bangalore the place where it all really began for you when it actually came to running? That is when you sort of picked up endurance sport?
For running, yes. I did not really know anything about running before Bangalore.
Yeah.
I started with a 10K, with a 12K in Bangalore in college, and it just sort of picked up from there, and I've been running since then. And it's almost 10 years since I started that now.
Fantastic. Now, coming to 2014, and that is, I think, would have actually been a game changer for you in a way, because you actually took part in the 111 kilometer ultra marathon in Ladakh, but you could not really finish. But you really actually sort of came back in 2016 and won the race, becoming the first Indian to do so. So this actually talks a lot about your determination, intelligence, and perseverance. So how do you actually train your mind to actually face these failures and overcome them?
Yeah. So it's been a learning curve, like for me, the last 10 years every year has been a consistent learning curve. Before I did DNF'd at La Ultra. I'd never really dropped out at a race. I was always proud of myself that I'd always finished what I started. So that also, had inflated my ego a little bit. I was a young guy. I was 19, 20 when I was doing these things, and I was like doing well, and naturally, my ego was on an all-time high.
Yeah.
And then not finishing at La Ultra suddenly deflated that ego bubble, and suddenly I was like, okay, something's wrong, and it hit me hard. Basically, at that time, La Ultra was the biggest race that I knew of, and that was right in India itself, and that was the biggest race I'd ever taken part in. Popular in terms of like global athletes coming in, and a hard race that was right in India. So I naturally went into the race with the same mindset that I'll be able to pull it off, but not having done it was sort of a hard lesson. So one of the things that I I think I could have given up and just quit running, but at that time that was never a thought. I wanted to keep running. So a decision that I made very soon after La Ultra was that I'll never, do a race half-heartedly. I'll never get to a start line of an event where I feel I'm underprepared. So because of that, the way the years since 2000 to 2014 have panned out are mostly, if you see, like I do very limited races. I do 4-5 races max in a year, but I try to do them properly.
Fantastic. So was that sort of a turning point for you in any way? I mean, in terms of your mindset, you did mention that, you went into a mode of making sure that you would actually prepare for your runs rather than, taking it for granted. But was that like your trigger or a turning point for making sure that, you are going to be focused and be determined in everything that you do?
I mean, I think that was, so, when growing up have always told me that it doesn't matter what you do in your life. You can be, a guy who's sweeping the streets or anything, doesn't matter, but you make sure you're the best at it. Yeah. So that's been something that has always sort of stuck with me, right? So, even, you hear it all the time and it sticks with you. So it's sort of always at the back of the head, but not finishing La Ultra sort of made that a reality and made me that it sort of, I thought about those words that my folks would always tell me growing up, and I thought about that, and I was like, I need to take it more seriously. It just doesn't happen. I got to work at it. And La Ultra, I used it as a big learning experience where I understood. Instead of just sitting and crying about it, I sort of tried to understand what were the actual reasons that I didn't finish the race. It was when I actually dug in and thought about it, and deep down, it was not the harsh weather, it was not the altitude, it was basically the fact that I was not prepared for it. I was not prepared enough for it. So that is those learnings is what I sort of took from that, and sort of applied in races and everything that I try to do since then, pretty much.
Deo Tibba. Hell yeah.
Fantastic. So 2015, come 2015, you began to sort of roll, and you actually won the Solomon Bhatti Lakes 160 kilometer ultra marathon in Faridabad, which actually sort of helped you qualify for the ultra, trail Mont Blanc. And you were the only Indian participant there, right? And you actually finished a respectable 224th out of 1,900 runners. No?
No. It was the other way. So basically, the Bharti Lakes allowed me to qualify for Spartathlon.
Okay. So how did that actually sort of pan out? Because I think you are one of the only Indians to qualify for the Spartathon, right? So what was the whole feeling of going out there and qualifying to be a part of Spartathon? So this was 2016. I'm thinking, right? This is
Yeah, I
2016.
think
Yeah.
so. This is 2016. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I had just come back from the CCC, right? I had the race that I had finished that you just spoke about. I had
Yeah.
just come back from that,
Mm-hmm.
and at that time, my folks were living in Faridabad,
Yeah.
and Bharti Lakes was a race that happened very close to that.
Yeah.
So I decided to jump into it and sort of have fun and do 100 miler, and I had a good time basically, and I did the race, and I didn't necessarily train for it specifically. I was already pretty well prepared with all the training I had done with CCC. There was only, I think, about a month and a half sort of gap between both these events, and I put in a lot of work for CCC, so that allowed me to have the confidence that I can pull off a 100 miler as well. So I decided to jump into it, do the 100 miler, and it the way it turned out was that I ended up running fast enough that my time allowed me to qualify for Spartathlon. I didn't go out with the goal of trying to qualify for Spartathlon. But once I sort of got that time and I qualified for Spartathlon, I was like, it was an easy decision. I was hooked. I was wanting to do that race.
You were the only Indian to sort of qualify there. So doesn't that actually make it a very special feeling?
Definitely. I mean, the fact that this happened you can't deny it, right? It was a special feeling. And the fact when I got to the race and I was in the midst of it all, it definitely it felt very good. I remember, I think there were some people from the Indian Embassy in Greece who came to the start line.
Wow.
To watch the flag off and everything. So it was pretty cool.
So I stand corrected on the Ultra Trail Mont Blanc. So was that your first international experience? If that's the case, or was it Spartathon, which was your first?
No, it was UTMB CCC.
Okay, and you turned out to stand at you stood at 224th out of 1,900 runners. So that was your first experience, participating with international athletes, right? So what was the experience like when it actually came to that race?
I think I don't think I ended up enjoying the race because I put a lot of pressure on myself. I had put in a lot of money that I had saved up to go for this race, and it was hard. So the whole time I think the race was more about doing it properly, and I think I enjoyed it less. But I did have a wonderful experience there. I think I was in awe of everything. That was the first time I had gone outside India as well.
Yeah.
So
wow,
everything was just exciting. So it was a pretty like amazing experience, and it's become one of my favorite races over the years, and I've gone back to it for once after that last year, and I plan to do the main one, the UTMB, next year. I was supposed to do it this year, but I'll hopefully do it next year.
So then there was no stopping you. There were hordes of international runs. You actually participated in the Vibram Hong Kong 100-kilometer Ultra Trail, the Ultra Trail Running World Championship as well in Italy, and the 24-hour World Championships at Belfast. So how has the journey been? Right from there, so up until now, in the international running scene.
I think I'm enjoying the stuff I'm doing naturally. I'm lucky that I'm able to pursue it, so I'm pretty glad and fortunate that I'm able to do it. But generally, the experiences are good. I love going and traveling to new places, and I mean we all love that, right? So I think running is allowing me to live the kind of life that I've been wanting to live, right? I get to travel to beautiful locations. I'm running through a lot of beautiful locations. A lot of people end up spending multiple days doing that, right? I go and when I ran in Cape Town, I went and did Table Mountain over a day. Otherwise, people are taking out specific amounts of time just to do things like that. And here I'm just running around and, doing the things I'm loving and getting to
Yeah.
live in these and run in these beautiful places. So I mean, I definitely enjoy it and look forward to doing more of it. Um, I've just been picky as to what kind of races I do. I like the races to be competitive. I like the races to be big in terms of the number of people running, in terms of the number of the competition that's coming. Because the reason I'm going and running these races abroad is one of the big reasons is competition.
Yeah.
As an athlete, I want to keep improving. I want to keep pushing. I want to keep keep getting better. So I try to find the races that are competitive, the races where I have 100 people who can sort of whoop ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am aware that there's gonna come a time when I might not be able to wrestle the day with all my might. The thought though leaves as swiftly as it comes, leaving only the desire to make use of the time I have now, to get on with it and work patiently but vigorously. We all know life is short, and sure, time catches up. But what we can do is maybe make the most of it. Outrun it a bit.
So coming to your training, right? So you actually sort of customize your own trainings yourself, and you actually train at higher altitudes. You're actually based out of Manali. So how do you sort of stay positive, through the off seasons, and how do you prepare for a run, both from a mental and physical aspect?
Generally, being motivated is not hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
My year is usually divided fairly clearly. April to October is when I'm usually doing races. October to April is usually when it's sort of off season as well. Uh, Off season, I look forward to off season every year because that's the time when I can, just enjoy my days, just train and not have the stress of traveling or logistics
Mm-hmm.
or planning out my or living out of a bag every other
Yeah.
weekend. And so while I do love the summers where I'm getting to travel, I like to get a break from that as well. So October, April is when I like that. So and then I come back to Manali. Manali, after in like this time of the year, in this duration, it starts to snow,
Yeah.
and I love winters. I love the snow, and like I'm excited that in the next, like today's 3rd November, and
Yeah.
probably in the next couple of days it's going to snow over here, and I'm looking forward to it. Um, Being motivated is not hard for me. I love getting out every single day.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's snowing or raining. If whatever the weather conditions, that doesn't usually deter me. I want to get out. So it's not a hard decision to get out every day and train every day. I enjoy that. And also I think I made a decision 5 years back to do this full time. So I also see it as I need to be accountable, and I'm
Yeah.
accountable to myself.
Yeah.
I'm in a situation where I can't point fingers at anyone else because I'm the guy who's made the decisions and who's
Yeah.
making the decisions, right? So I have to be accountable to myself for this, and I take it seriously that because I'm responsible for it in every single way. So that's part of it as well. So it helps that I want to do it. It helps that I enjoy doing it, and being accountable. Sort of, there are those days when you're like, you know what, I'll just laze around,
Yeah.
and being accountable helps me on those days to be like, you know what, Kieren, just get out. You're
Yeah.
supposed to get the job done.
Yeah.
So some days you go, yeah.
So now my favorite one, in June 2020, you created history of sorts. You actually did a fastest known timed ascent of 5,290 meters to Friendship Peak in Kulu in 11 hours and 35 minutes, which was
Yeah.
record breaking, right? And most recently, you also did the Deo Tibba at 6,001 meters, right? In 19 hours, 38 minutes, which was a round trip again. So can you talk through that? That is like inhumane, right? I mean, you can't even think about those kind of times, and what went on, into the whole journey of you putting in those kind of times to
Yeah.
finish and hitting the peak of 5,290 meters and 6,001 meters.
Yep. So we got to go way back to even before I started running.
Yeah.
Before I started running in 2010, my interest was actually mountaineering,
Yeah.
and I was wanting to become a mountaineer and do the climb and stuff like that. That did not pan out that way. Things did not pan out that way because
Yeah.
I realized very soon that there's a lot of time commitment. It's quite an expensive sport as well.
Mm-hmm.
So mountaineering is what I was actually originally interested in, like
Mm-hmm.
before I knew about running and everything.
Yeah.
Once I realized that about the costs that are attached to the sport and the time that you require after just coming out of college, just coming out of class 12, and going into college in Bangalore, that was not something that seemed very sort of feasible.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so, and it was not something that I could do all year round, right? So running is what sort of running was that thing that I could do all the time. It was
Mm-hmm.
cost effective. It was friendly on the pocket. It was easy access. I didn't have to travel anywhere. I had to just get out and every day and get it done.
Yeah.
So eventually, few years later, as I kept reading about the sport, getting more exposed, and luckily getting better access to internet with over the years, started reading more. I realized what's happening globally in the sport of ultra running, in the
Mm-hmm.
sport of trail running. I started reading a lot about what people were doing, like on Matterhorn and Denali, and these fast times that people were setting all over in these mountains all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Uli Steck doing his Eiger North Face climbs and all these things, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think then that sort of started to inspire me once again that that you could actually mix running and mountaineering. And by 2013, 14, I was in a place where I actually wanted to do both. I like both, and I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't choose. Basically, I was just stuck with. I didn't want to choose, so I just wanted to do something where I could do both. So I started dreaming about wanting to do these like Friendship Peak and Stoke Kangri and things like this in 2014 and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it just took me 5 years to, actually get the job done.
Wow.
Uh, it's just unfortunate it took me that long. It wasn't because of any physical preparation or anything. It was more just the time needed to be right, I guess.
Yeah.
Like everything needed to fall in place. And yep, this was the year, luckily, where the year when I was not traveling and I was in Manali and I wanted to do something. And, I was like, this is the year I'm going to do the thing that I actually want to do for many years. So that's how friendship happened and that's how Deo Tibba happened.
That's actually jaw-droppingly inspiring, my friend. Really amazing. So,
Thank
what
you.
next from this ultra marathon superstar? Are we looking at Everest Marathon and beyond?
Uh, I think there are a lot of things for me that I want to do. For the coming year, the goal will be probably some UTMB. That's
Mhm.
what I was supposed to do this year in 2020. So it's just going to be shifted to 21 now, and that would be the goal again for next year. But I think one thing I've learned this year is that these things like Friendship Peak and Deo Tibba, these runs, these climbs have been a really fulfilling experience
Mhm.
and I want to do more of these. So I am going to take out time every single year, to do some of these things. And I'm going to try and find a balance between racing and doing some of my projects. And I want to do stuff in India, right? Like you read about these people doing, like people all over the world doing it in the Alps,
Yeah.
in South America, in the Nepal Himalayas as well.
Yeah.
So and I want to do. We have a lot of mountains in India, and I want to do stuff over here.
Yeah.
So I'll keep trying to figure out new projects and new things to do in the mountains around here. Things that have been exciting me. There are a million things that have been exciting me over the
Yeah.
years. So I start focusing on that a little bit as well, while I also try and keep racing and finding a balance between both. I think I'll reduce the number of races I do in a year. I think
Mhm.
two, three of them is enough. And also, I'm at a place, over the last few years where I've been really enjoying the shorter
Mhm.
trail races.
Yep.
So the 30K races, the 40K races, the 50K races. And luckily, that allows me to, do more races as well. So I
Mhm.
can do maybe 4 30K or 250K races and 100 and 100 plus K race in a year. And also then do a couple of projects around in the mountains here.
Fantastic. Now, for the next segment, the rapid fire questions that we actually have for you. One of my favorite actually segments. So we'll just begin. Maybe there are like about 6 or 7 questions, and if you could just answer, the questions in just one word or a sentence, that would be great. So let's just go ahead and get started. So, your favorite athlete or runner?
Emil Zatopek.
Fantastic. Preferred brand of shoes?
I don't have a brand of shoes. Preferred brand of shoes. No.
Okay. Preferred brand of attire or on race days and practice runs? Any preferred brand?
So I don't have a preference in terms of brand. I get picky in terms of the product.
Mhm.
It can be from any brand, and I get picky with what I want, and I make sure I get very comfortable with it, in training
Mhm.
and spend time. Whether it's the shoes, whether it's the clothes, I have to feel comfortable in it. So there's no brand. It's every brand, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Wearables and devices. Are you one of those people who actually wears any, smart watches or anything like that?
I mean, I do have a Sunto from 5 years back that I've used. This is my favorite, but
So,
I think I need to upgrade though.
so I don't think you're a music person. Maybe while running, I think you prefer, going without the music. Is that right?
It's both. I love running without music, but I also love running with music sometimes. I don't have earphones or headphones, that's why I don't use them.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I do plan to get a pair of headphones at some point and just run around with my headphones on.
So, what kind of playlist would you prefer while running?
Uh, Again, it depends on my mood. Mostly, I think the kind of stuff I stick to and I sort of keep going back to is actually it's a wide genre: jazz,
Hmm.
rock, um, blues.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. I have a bit of a. I'm all over the place a little bit with music.
Very
Like
colorful, actually.
on the same, yeah, like on the same run, I could be listening to, like, Duke Ellington, and
Mhm.
the next song could be a Metallica, and
Yeah,
yeah.
nice. And preferred nutritional supplements or hydration packs?
Supplements have to be Unimed. I've been using Unimed stuff for the last 5 years, and yep, whether it's the race nutrition with the gels or the powders, or the daily supplements like the vitamin D's or the multivitamins. I've been using these things for the last 5 years. So yep, I've not used anything else. So yeah, has to be Unimed. When it comes to pack, I have a couple of packs. Like with the kind of stuff I've been doing recently, I've been using uh like like this kind of North Face pack,
Yeah, yeah.
which is like a mountaineering pack that I use for the upper mountains, for my boots and my harnesses and ropes and stuff, or just a running vest for the lower sections. So yeah.
Nice. You actually did pretty well there. Now, coming to maybe, giving some advice and recommendations to sort of runners in terms of enhancing their performances, or maybe even for somebody who's just getting started, right? So, if you could actually break down and let them know as to what kind of gears to choose and what shoes to sort of, pick up, and what wearables to wear, what fluids, nutrition to actually have, and supplements to take, that would be great.
Yep, yep. It's a very broad topic, by the way.
Yeah, I know, I know. I'm
um,
just cramming it
so,
up. Yeah.
yeah. So, one of the if you're someone who's starting out, the few key pointers to remember always is to have fun. That's the most important, because if you're not going to have fun, you're not going to keep doing it. So you have to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Be consistent with whatever you're doing. Be consistent. Don't just go out, run for 1 2 months, and then sit around for 3 4 months and do 1 2 months again. It won't be, doesn't work well. So be consistent, and also don't try to rush things. Take it easy. Like, don't a lot of people go from a 10K after sitting around for 10 years. They start off and then do a 10K in a month, and 2 months later they're doing a half. 4 months later they're doing a full marathon, and 6 months into their running journey they're into an ultra.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, it's not good. It's you could get injured. It's unhealthy. So you want to try to gradually pace up, keep have fun. You want to run for 10 20 years and stuff, right? So there's no hurry, and so there's no point rushing things. And it will always help to have a very solid, strong base of consistent running. When it comes to nutrition, daily nutrition, I think my suggestion always is that eat everything. Don't overdo anything. Don't underdo anything. Eventually, everything has value. All kinds of foods. Naturally, there are things like a lot of junk and stuff like that, which you need to keep keep it under control. But generally, with regular food, what I do is try to source whatever I can from the market locally. Luckily, I get a lot of seasonal things in the from the vegetable guy that I go to, and yeah, like a lot of variety in my food. I try to not say no to anything, and I try to eat everything. The more variety you can add in your food every day, I think the better it is. The more colors, the better it is. I'm not heavy. I'm not a very big meat eater. Like I think this last 1 year, I've probably consumed meat thrice in the year, I guess. Like so, I'm very like I'm not big on things like eggs and all. Not a big fan of eggs. Like yeah, so yeah, just eat everything and try to be as clean with your foods. When it comes to race nutrition, uh, the biggest suggestion would be to practice your race nutrition in training. Uh, what works for me will not work for you, and what will work for another person, you need to figure it out. And the best way to figure it out is to try out multiple things and understand what suits your body. For me, I've realized over the years that I know how many Unibet gels I can do in an hour in a race, and I've trained with it, and I've gotten comfortable from doing a few gels in a race to doing like 15, 16 gels in a race. So it's come with training, with time. So you need to put in that time to understand your body and understand what's working for you. The same with gear. Practice it in training, use it in training, get comfortable with it. Race day, you need to be comfortable with everything that you're doing.
Great. So I'm going to put you on the spot again. Maybe 10 tips for runners, one by one, just one word maybe. It could be mindset, it could be physical, it could be spiritual.
Yep. Have fun. The most important tip. Consistency. Don't rush into anything. Don't try to increase your mileage too fast. Strength training. I think a lot of runners don't give it much importance. So giving it importance is important. You can start off with maybe body weight stuff, but adding some amount of weight is a good idea. And thinking of not just thinking about running as an individual activity, but thinking about multiple things and using it as looking at the whole ecosystem, and trying to develop every aspect of it, even if it's in a small way, a little bit, once in a way. But it's important to give that time. Strength training is one. Mobility work is another one. It's a different thing, but giving that importance as well. Like what I do is I try and find things that I can have fun with. So I like to do slacklining. Because slacklining, you're on a tight rope, you have to balance. Balance is a key thing, and that sort of to indirectly helps me with my mobility work. But it's a fun way for me to do it. I think these are 5 tips. Okay, 5 more tips.
Maybe mindset, spirituality coming into the picture in any way.
I don't know. In the sense, my mindset has always been to train hard, so that train hard, race easy. Right? Like for me, the scary times are not the race, but the training that I have to put in for the race. Let me think. 5 more things.
I'm not going to push you against the wall. Yeah, so go ahead.
Don't get carried away with what people. Don't get carried away with what people say. Try to understand what works for you best. And if I like a shoe, doesn't mean the shoe will work for you. We all have different kinds of preferences. So yeah, that could be one. I can't think of too many more.
That's okay.
That's
I don't want to push you. Yeah. So 6 is good. Anything coming out of you is really good. Fantastic. So top 5 races that you would sort of recommend or participate.
I would be a little, I would end up choosing more trail races, I think. But I think in India, one of my favorite races is the Mumbai Marathon. That was my first marathon, and I like the whole vibe that the
Yeah.
when the city comes out and you're cheering every runner on the road. I love that. So that's definitely going to be one of my favorite races, and something that I think a lot of people in India should get to experience. Um, I think running a trail race for sure. And the next 4 will end up being trail races, I think.
Yeah.
UTMB is another big experience, wonderful event for me, mainly because, like, the community. I think a lot of the races I've enjoyed till now is because of the community and the people that come out and support it. So UTMB, it's probably the same reason. It's a massive week-long festival. So I have a blast in that race, and it's amazing. I think running in some exotic locations. So for me, one of that has been running across Table Mountain in Cape Town. That's been a beautiful race where
Mhm.
you go up Table Mountain, you get to see the ocean on one side of the route, and you're on this in this beautiful landscape. So it's pretty amazing. So Table Mountain, Cape Town, Ultra Trail Cape Town. I have to choose a race in India in the Himalayas because this is where I live, and like the races happening around here, whether it's La Ultra or Solang Ultra or any of them, like the Himalayas are we have, it's a beautiful, beautiful sort of landscape and area that we have access to. So the fact that we get to come here and run here, it's pretty amazing. And I think another race would be it has
I'm putting.
I think I'll choose a track a, cha-
Yeah.
a track race,
Go
a
ahead.
track ultra,
Yeah.
because I think the experience is completely different than every other event, because you're running around on a 400-meter track in
Yeah.
circles. There is nothing there to entertain you. There is no view. There's
Yeah.
nothing. You got to be, so the experience that you would, you live inwardly, that you get to, the mindset you got to be in. I think that's a wonderful experience once you get to live it. So I think for someone, if they're into an ultra, doing a track ultra is going to be quite a enriching experience that way.
Fantastic. So one final one from you, a success mantra for the audience to sort of take away and get inspired.
Oh, from me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I I'm glad, like, if people are getting inspired by the kind of stuff I'm doing,
Yeah,
but I'm far from being successful. Uh,
you're being
um,
modest.
I'm just glad I'm being able to pull off the kind of stuff that
Yeah,
I keep thinking, and I'm living the kind of life I'm living.
yeah,
Um, I think I think enjoying your days, enjoying your life is going to be the most important. I think a lot of people don't end up. Everyone's getting stuck with whatever life is throwing at you
yeah,
and our daily lives, right? I think trying to have fun every day is a key thing, for all of us living. I think that's one thing I've realized over the last few years. Like when I made the decision of leaving, I was doing a desk job, and when I made that decision of leaving the job to do this full time, it was a scary decision, right?
Yeah.
But over the last 5 years, whenever I look back to the 5 years, I I have no regrets. I feel the 5 years have flown by too quickly, and not a single day when I wish that, man, Kieren, it would have been better if you were sitting at a desk
Yeah.
earning regular income every month,
Yeah.
living a
Yeah.
stable life. So I think finding things that allow you to have fun and enjoy life, small things. It's actually never the big things that we think of, right? It's always the
Yeah.
small things that give us true joy. So trying, if everyone can identify that, what works for themselves, for them, I think that would be a brilliant thing. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kieren, for your time today at Run Monks and sharing some great insights and best practices, which I'm sure will actually help many to go take up running and get into that Zen mode. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me and having me over for the conversation. It's been lovely to chat with you. So
Thank you so much. Thank you.
all right.